Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Juan Londoño. Have you been seeing all those beautiful AI images lately and wondered what's going to happen to photography? Or even worse, what's going to happen to me as a photographer? If you're starting to wonder, worry, if you're getting discouraged, if you've even pulled away from photography, as I know many people have because of all the powerful AI images that are coming out, stick around. This video is going to be very important. If you stay till the end, I'm going to show you a tip. And you're either going to love this tip or you're going to not feel as enthusiastic. You won't hate it, but you're not going to feel as enthusiastic. Either way, it's a powerful tip to push away that whole influx of AI. And I'm not saying, we're going to get into this, right? I'm not saying ignore AI because that's not what we're talking about here. But while you're doing your photography, to focus on something different, right? And I'm going to show you a really cool way of doing that and keeping your creativity and authenticity while you're doing your photography. So definitely stay to the end. If you find this video useful, entertaining, informative, please like down here and subscribe on this side. And or wherever the subscription button is. And if you would like to sponsor me, it means a lot to the channel. It means a lot to me because I can start buying some gear, which I have. Started buying some gear for reviews. That's coming in the next couple of weeks. Buy me a coffee if you can. There's a link in the description. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Buy me 2 cups of coffee. Sometimes I drink a coffee. Sometimes I'll go out and buy something for photography and then we do a review. So either way, it's very helpful and much, much appreciated. So now back to the topic of the video. You're not a robot, so don't act like one. Don't shoot like one. What does that even mean? Well, this is where we dive into the topic. Let's face it, AI is here to stay, right? And you're never going to catch me saying ignore it, don't look at it, don't play with it. That's the wrong attitude, right? If anything, we need to start playing around with AI. I certainly have already for a while. With my photography, with even my day job, right? I work in IT and we use ChatGPT and we use other tools there, right? Our Copilot is coming up in all the different sources of software. So there are all different types of Copilots available and it's the time is now, right? So don't let it push you back. Don't let it intimidate you. Open your arms to it, start using it, start getting comfortable with it. But in photography, it means something a little different because if we let AI take over everything we do, then where is our creativity? So that's what we're going to address here and hopefully keep you from getting discouraged. Within photography, I separate the benefits of AI into 2 major categories. The first one is creating things that don't already exist. And the second one is using AI to enhance our images. So what is category 1, right? Creating things that don't exist. Let's talk about that real quick. Fake people and situations, fake locations, fake animals, things that don't even exist, colors that don't exist, and it takes me to fake colors, right? So that's the first category, creating things that don't exist. For category 2, we're talking about more of the photography stuff we like to do, right? Editing images, making them look a little better, a little nicer. So I have some things here like even getting kind of into the threshold of AI a little bit, but we can do a lot of this manually, is removing objects from pictures, things that we don't want, adding some objects that we would like, enhancing colors, contrast, all that stuff, of course, right? And just reaching our desired effects. The reason I'm doing this video is because I know personally a couple of photographers at least that have become disillusioned with photography. And these are great photographers. And they started getting pulled into images that people are creating with AI. And they started to feel inadequate, right? Like the stuff they're doing doesn't matter anymore, right? They can't compete is what they feel. And this is where we can let it bring us down really quick, or we can kind of understand what's happening and tailor our mind to navigate this area. As photographers, our images are not inferior to artificial intelligence images. They're simply different. They're actually real. Our images are real, right? much of the stuff that's created with AI isn't real. And if it starts with a real picture, say of a beach, it ends up turning into something that's, that doesn't exist because it removes things, it adds things, right? It may add a ship, it may add a few palm trees, it may remove people. So you're talking about a scenario or a situation that never, ever, ever in history existed. But it's beautiful, beautiful to look at. We have gotten so accustomed to artificially clean images, right, that we regard natural images as unprofessional or at a minimum, just inadequate. Even now, we're adding and removing things from an image to kind of balance it out, leaving behind a scene that, again, never existed. And everything we're talking about right now is in category 2, which is enhancing our images, right? Removing things, adding things, still kind of falls into that category as long as it's not too heavily edited, right? And I want to end category 2 by saying, and everything I'm talking about so far, right? Adding little things, removing little things, is still category 2, which is editing our images. It's not even this obscene category 1 where it's all fake, which we're going to get into, right? I'll end category 2 so we can move into the meat here by saying a couple of things. Enhancing photos should never be taken away from us, right? As photographers. Anybody that says it's unprofessional, that it's not the real thing, whatever, blah, 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 blah. It's been around for as long as photography's been around. People originally edited in the Lightroom. They mucked with their negatives, right? Then computers came along. They were scanning pictures and editing them there. And then they started taking pictures digitally. It's just always been around, right? And it's always going to be around. Look at Ansel Adams. He heavily dodged and burned his images. He paid people to do that. He gave people direction, and then they went to town on what he was trying to create, the look he wanted, right? So it's been around, no need for it to go anywhere. Enhancing our images also makes them more aesthetic. Why? For what? Well, for sales, right? Just because I take a picture of something and I like it raw that way, right? Even me as a photographer, I'm going to put it up on a wall and realize that everybody that comes to my home is not going to look at that the way that I do, right? So there's a certain creative freedom that I have, and I'm entitled to hang up whatever I want in my home. But I look at things from different points of view, right? Because I do sell photography. So I look at things, what I like. I wouldn't have taken the picture if I didn't like it. But then I clean up a few things, right? There are things always that need to be cleaned up. Not always, but many times in photography that need to be cleaned up, right? And if we want to make it more aesthetic, especially for somebody else's home, you have to kind of put yourself in a different person's position, right? Different person's position. And now you're looking at very clean images. If there are things laying around on a beach like garbage, right? You may love a scene, and for you and your room or your home or your office, you may put that right up there because that's exactly what you were looking at. With a can of soda and an empty jug of milk laying on the beach, you know what? That's what I captured. That's what's going on my wall. But that doesn't mean that's what other people are going to put up on their wall, right? If you try to sell an image like that, people are going to go, oh my gosh, why did he do that? Why didn't he take those things off the beach before taking the picture? They're not going to think of the editing part maybe, but they're going to say, why did he take that picture with the empty jug of milk in a soda can there? It killed it. It's pulling my eyes. These things are pulling my eyes towards them, and I'm not looking at this beautiful scene, right? And more modern people, and most of us are going to say, why didn't he or she just edit that out? Why? I can't buy this image. I'm not going to put that in my living room, right? That's what I'm talking about, thinking different, right? So it definitely, enhancing our images does give it an aesthetic that we sometimes need in order to sell. And the last thing it does is, when we edit our images, it promotes a different type of creativity, right? There's a creativity of going out and shooting something with your camera, taking pictures. And then there's the creativity of editing, fine-tuning, tweaking on the computer. And I like both of those. I prefer being more behind the camera and then coming home and quickly editing. I don't want to spend a lot of time, but I know people that love to edit. And they'll take 5 pictures and spend a whole weekend editing them, right? I'm the person that takes 300 pictures. I download them. I do a quick pass through each one, just fix the light and the color. And if I can be done there, I'm done, right? Now, I may pick my 5 favorite out of those, 200-300 that I took the whole day or weekend, and then I might say these are worthy of selling. I'm going to go to town on these, right? And I may spend a couple of hours editing those 4 or 5 images. So the bottom line here is editing is cool. It's not bad. Don't look at it negatively, right? Let's keep an open mind. And everybody does it. We've all been doing it. So let's move on to the first category. That was category 2. The first category, which is just creating stuff that never existed. Let's face it and let's be honest. There's an amazing amount of talent and creativity needed to create something from scratch, something that never existed. I mean, let's be honest here, right? I look at some images that I know never existed, especially when the person that presents them says, I did this completely in AI. And, you take your hat off because these images are breathtaking. Would I ever hang one of these? Absolutely. I mean, talk about decorating a room. Wow, right? As photographers, however, even though I think it's beautiful and I definitely agree it would decorate a home beautifully, would it be my first choice to hang up on a wall? Not really. Because as a photographer, I want to know that what I'm putting up there at least is relatively real, right? Minus the empty jug of milk and the soda can that was removed. It's a real beach with real trees. That's the clouds. That's what the clouds were doing. That's what the sun was doing, right? Everything else is the way that it was that day. Just keep in mind that using AI doesn't make our art form wrong. It basically just makes it a little different, and we might be honest to say it's not for us. We can appreciate it. We appreciate the talent, the time, everything that goes into it, but it's not for us. That's why we have a camera. That's why we don't use a brush or a pencil or a pen or something else, right? Sculpting, right? Clay, we have a camera. And the whole purpose of the camera is to catch a moment of time, right? So the more you edit that moment of time, the less it becomes a real moment of time. That's my opinion. As photographers, we need to remember 2 things when we look at a piece of AI art. And I say AI art because there's a lot of AI crap that's being put out there, but there is some stuff that's breathtaking, right? So when we look at one of these beautiful pieces, keep 2 things in mind. 1, someone had a lot of fun creating it. I mean, this is what they wanted to do. And they spent time and maybe some money to buy tools, right? Digital tools and whatever, props. And they made it, right? So first thing, somebody had a good time. We need to respect that, right? Because we have a good time doing our photography. We give them the ability, we give them the right. They're their right, right? They have that right. We don't give it to them. They have a right to enjoy what they do. And the second thing we need to remember is that whatever they're doing with AI has nothing to do with the way that we feel about photography. We have to be adamant about that. We have to remember what people are doing with AI has nothing to do with you or me when we're holding a camera in our hand. We're true photographers. And I say true because, I'm assuming you're not heavily, messing with AI. But if you are, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Just listen to the message here, right? What people are doing with AI gives us no reason to be sad about our photography, what we're doing, or what's happening in photography, because these are 2 different worlds. So here's the big difference between the 2, okay? As photographers, we mentioned it. Our goal is to capture a moment in time and tweak it a little so it looks absolutely breathtaking, right? As an AI artist, if that's what I was, I'm not so concerned about capturing a moment in time. I'm more interested in bringing out something that's in my head, something that I visualized and putting it in front of me on a screen and then eventually on paper or canvas or whatever, right? That's the 2 things, right? Even as a photographer, I sometimes close my eyes and go, I wish I could capture, because I've seen it somewhere, rounded like a horseshoe beach type with the sun going down and some, really dramatic clouds. Okay, fantastic. I can think of whatever I want. Now I have to go find a beach like that. I have to wait for a dramatic sky. I have to wait for a sunset. Maybe it doesn't even set over that beach. Maybe it sets behind me. So it would be a sunrise or something like that, right? You see how complicated it is. That's why as photographers, we don't usually do that, right? We can with products and with other things, right? Still photography. But when you go out for a scene, the city, the mountains, You're there to capture beauty as it is, or chaos as it is, right? Whereas as an AI artist, I create whatever my mind can produce. That's why I'm saying that both are different. So if you're a photographer, as I am, don't let it dissuade you from continuing your photography. What you're doing is beautiful, and what AI is doing is beautiful, and they're both different, that's all. AI isn't trying to compete with photography. It never came about for that reason, right? AI is simply, or complexly, and that is a word, by the way, I checked, it's just a different form of art. Simply or complexly, it's a different form of art. As far as capturing a real moment goes, you're going to need a camera for that. When I go for a walk in the city or on a beach or in the mountains, as you do, right? We come back with a bunch of photographs. These photographs, when we sit down at our computer to look at them, these photographs were things that happened, right? Those trees were there at that moment in time, right? The sky was the way it was that day when we photographed it. The sand looked that way, right? Everything was as we saw it that moment. Not only that, but where we stood, right? If I stand here, it's different than if I stand here when I take the photograph. So the picture that we're showing people is not only just how things were, but from the angle that we took it during the exact moment in time we pressed that shutter button. You see how magical that is, right? Not taken away from AI, but when I sit down and create something in AI, there's no reference of time, really, unless you're using specific vehicles or buildings where you can see the architecture was from a different time period. But then you can mix things from other time periods. There's nothing stopping you, right? And many people do that without thinking about it. But for the most part, you're capturing you create a scene of a mountain or a beach or something. You're creating all kinds of things that, first of all, those things don't exist, right? The combination of them don't exist. And then there's no moment in time where they happen because they're pieces of things from all different periods of time. And then the point of view of where it was done from is irrelevant, really. I mean, kind of. Yes and no. I guess that depends, right? But you see how different they are. Let's accept this too, right? There is a need for AI. We can't dispute this. Where? Well, in the entertainment industry, for sure, and in product photography. Entertainment, by the way, I'm talking about movies, fashion, right? All kinds of stuff, right? And then product photography, of course, is any product, including clothing, which goes back to modeling many times, makeup products and stuff like that. So AI becomes very useful. I want to take you on a little tour right now of gorgeous people that don't exist. Now, these are people made by other people using AI tools. And am I going to be upset looking at these people because they don't exist? Not me. I'm not. Maybe somebody else will. I'm perfectly fine looking at a beautiful person, male or female, right? It's wonderful the work they do, right? Creating people that don't exist and that are fun to look at. Fantastic, right? These are people with beautiful skin, beautiful bodies. The clothing is just right, everything, Some of them might be off a little bit on their clothing, on the pose, on something, right? But for the most part, they're looking pretty good these days with the whole effects and how they create these things, right? But I have a saying, it's my own thing, right? The beauty in those we love lies in their imperfections. We all have imperfections, all of us, even the most beautiful people. And all our imperfections are different. So we're all beautiful in a different way. If everybody understood this, there would be less people suffering from self-esteem issues, more people happy about their bodies, right? Now, I'm not talking about disregard yourself completely and let yourself go, right? That's an excuse also. But for however we're born and however our glands and hormones work, whatever, if we're taking care of ourselves the best we can and we're still either too thin or a little bigger than we want to be, at that point we say, you know what? I cherish what I have, right? This is my temple. It's beautiful. I'm not perfect. I'm imperfect in a very unique way, and I love myself for that. And then you love everybody else for the same reason, right? That's where AI kind of goes off to me on a tangent, because it's looking for perfection, but perfection in whose eyes, right? Because I've known people that like people that are slightly chunky, and I know people that like people that look like anorexic. So when I look at a model that's AI driven and I say, oh my gosh, this model is perfect, that's perfect in my eyes. It's not going to be perfect in either one of their eyes, right? So back to, we're trying to create all these perfect scenarios and landscapes and cityscapes and people with AI, but it's the artist that's creating it that's deciding what's perfect for them, right? And that's where we differ as photographers, because we capture what is, and that is what is, right? And you're either going to like it or you're not, but it's perfectly designed by the creator. Whether you believe in one or not, that's, I respect your judgment on that, but that's my opinion, right? So I go into the mountains, I capture a scene that to me is breathtaking. It might not be breathtaking to you, right? But that's the way the scene was. That's the way it is. There's nothing we can do about it, right? And I bring that up because, it's happening more and more. We're seeing Instagram accounts with millions of subscribers, followers, and these are people that don't exist that have millions of followers because they're pretty to look at. And I'm not going to tell you there's anything wrong with that, because if people like to look at that stuff, then it's no different than having an Instagram account with flowers and having millions of followers that like to look at flowers. Same concept, right? Now we're going to have them probably with flowers that don't exist. We can make up flowers and have an Instagram account with a couple of million followers that follow flowers that don't really exist, that are made in AI. So it's just the world we live in. Back to products now, right? The other, we were talking about fashion and beauty. A little more of that. If I'm trying to sell a fragrance, right? I developed this fragrance. I have access to chemists and I'm working a new perfume, and they come to me and I smell it and I go, that reminds me of something that I've smelled, or it's something that a young girl would wear, right? That's just that odor, candy-ish, happy, I don't know, bubbly, right? Whatever the word is, right? And I want to sell this now, right? What am I going to do? Yeah, I can take a picture of it sitting on a table. I can put some props around it. Is it going to be impactful, or can I do more with AI? I can do more with AI, right? So I'm going to sell this thing to a bunch of, say, young teenage girls. Maybe I want to capture a beach with a unicorn, maybe even if it's younger, right, than teenager, right? Like early, 10 to 15, for example, right? If this is a little fragrance that's very safe, right? No strong chemicals or anything like that. So it's a product I'm going to be very comfortable selling to young children, to their parents anyway, for them. Then, yeah, I want to find a happy location that looks like a child would want to be there. A beach is not a bad one, right? And then maybe a unicorn or a mermaid, I don't know. You start creating things in AI that are going to light up the eyes of a child. What does that do for me as a creator? Oh my gosh, it's convenient, right? Whether I do it or I pay somebody to do it, it's a lot cheaper than trying to dress somebody up in a costume, a mermaid costume or a unicorn. And you don't even have to travel to a beach. You can just take a beach online and master it up to whatever you want. So here we start getting into, you heard what I said, take a beach from online somewhere and then doctor it up to whatever you like. Most of this, even AI, most of it, not all of it, because there are some brilliant people that create everything from scratch. Most of AI is going to start out with some kind of a good photograph. At a very minimum, if I'm selling that fragrance, I need a really good photograph. It's got to be ultra high in detail, super sharp. Lighting has to be perfect for that fragrance, right? And then I can put that fragrance anywhere, on a table, digitally, right, on my computer. I can put it on a table, on a screen, on a beach, on a playground. I can put it wherever. It doesn't matter at that point. In the hands of a child, whatever. But it has to start with a really good image, right? So even a lot of the AI starts out with good photography, which is why I tell you, if you're a photographer, don't let it discourage you. Photography is not going anywhere. I know you're probably thinking, famous last words, Juan. No, I truly believe this, right? How many years ago did the computer come out, right? They said paper's going to go away because everything's going to be online. Tell me you've never printed anything recently, right? Tell me that there's no paper in your home and you don't like reading something on paper every once in a while. I know people that still buy books because they just have to hold something. They want to hold something paper, they want to smell it, right? Not going anywhere. All I'm trying to say with this wonderful video, and I hope you think so yourself, I love this topic and I love so many topics, but all I'm trying to say here is keep AI and keep photography separate in your mind. They're two different things. Don't let one upset you. Don't let the other discourage you. Don't get discouraged about your own art form because another one is coming in strong and it's doing things that are brighter and prettier, and it's a whole different world. It has nothing to do with photography. Appreciate both of these art forms for what they are. They're both beautiful. They both require talent. They both require time. They both require tools and money, right? Let's respect each other as artists and let's move forward. We're photographers, right? So keep taking pictures. Remember at the beginning, I said stick around for a tip. I'm going to show you how to alleviate some of that stress that comes on from worrying about AI. I got it right here in my hands. You know what this is? You know what this is, my friends? Yeah. It's a film camera. Yes, look. No display in the back. There's no LCD, there's nothing. This is a little thing to put some film paper in there from the carton, so you know what film you're shooting. This is a film camera. If you've never seen one of these, let's open one up real quick for you. So you can, this is where you put the film inside, right? So why am I showing you a film camera? You can get any, by the way. It doesn't have to be Canon. I have every brand that's ever been out. I'm trying because I collect cameras, right? And I love shooting with these, by the way. And that's where I'm going. If you want to get away from the stress of AI, get yourself, if you don't already have one, a used film camera, because they're hard to find new now. There are some new ones coming out, but get yourself a used film camera. You can get them now, you could, depending on where you look and what you find, $200 to $300, right? Comes with a basic lens. This is actually much nicer than a basic lens. This is a 50mm 1.4 Canon. This is a beautiful lens. But get yourself something simple. Get some film. You can buy it online and go out and shoot, right? It's no different than any other camera. What it's going to do for you is it's going to take your mind away from AI. Can I take this film out, get it processed and scanned, and then put my images in Photoshop and edit them? Yes, of course I can. That's not the point, right? The point is to take this film out, have it processed, have pictures mailed to you so you can look at them on paper. There's no AI, right? And when you're shooting with a camera like this, for that reason, AI is not in your mind anymore, because you know that you're taking pictures that are going to end up being printed right from the film, and you're going to look at them and there's no computer involved. If you really want to have a nice time, relaxing, you don't want to worry about AI, you want to think of just what you're going to capture that day, get yourself a film camera, whether it's black and white film, color film, whatever you like, go out and have a blast. You're going to see what it does for you. First of all, these cameras are manual focus, so you're going to be manually focusing everything. It's going to slow you down a little. You got to think a little more because you buy a 24 roll of film exposures, and that's all you have is 24 pictures, not 200 or 300, right? Like, it's expensive. So you have 24 pictures. You go out to the lake, you go out with your friends to the park, you got 24 pictures, right? You buy a 36, you have 36 pictures. If you buy 2 of those, okay, you have 72, but that's it. So you're going to be careful about what you shoot, how you focus, the lighting, all that, right? It's going to settle your mind. It's going to push you away from worrying about AI. AI is not going anywhere. It's still going to be there, but you can focus on your photography and not, what am I going to do to edit these pictures so they look like an AI masterpiece? No, that's not the point, right? So I hope that makes sense. I hope that you understand now these are 2 different art forms Enjoy your photography, enjoy AI. They're both beautiful. I love going on the computer. I love looking at pictures that people put together in AI. And then I also love looking at photographs, right? I follow so many photographers and I love their work, and even my friends. So I hope this all makes sense. Like and subscribe. Please comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you worried about AI? Have you found yourself, stressing out because your pictures are not, looking as beautiful as AI, right? Let me know. Let me know what you think, or if I'm making all this up, right? I do know a few people that have told me they're thinking about selling their equipment because it doesn't mean the same to them anymore. And I'm hoping that this message gets out to everybody that, guys and gals, these are two different art forms. Keep what you're doing. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful hobby. It's beautiful work if you do it for a living. And AI is beautiful as well. Learn to enjoy everything we have. And I will see you in the next video. From the bottom of my heart, always, I love you guys. I appreciate your time. And I never take it for granted. So please like, subscribe, and buy me a coffee if you'd like. And I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now.